This is Sebu Badaki, your global girl, and today I was at a Nigerian wedding, and so I decided let me just keep my attire on for this particular video because I want to talk to you about culture. We're going to be talking about culture, and this wedding, a Nigerian weddings, it's huge. If you've ever saw the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, well, that just kind of gives you a hint of just about how Nigerian weddings are. They're huge. They're all about family. They're all about connecting with family. And it's really a big event. So today, this event was called the engagement. And this happens before the actual wedding. So this is the actual event where the groom actually proposes to the bride or the soon-to-be bride that's going to happen. So at this event, normally the families come dressed in a particular color or attire, so they can let you know as soon as you see them that I'm here for the bride or I'm here for the groom. Well, I was here for the groom. It's my cousin who's getting married, and so we all wore the same color. This head tie is called a gilly. And so that just kind of symbolizes, because it's all about connecting with family. And all your friends who come with you, they would also wear the same color because they want to connect and identify with you. And understanding just how important family is and how this event is so important to family, it's all about introducing families to each other and having a blessing over it. Now, I want to just kind of move from that because you're thinking, okay, what does that have to do with international business? If you understand just how important family is, or how important family is to the average Nigerian, or how important it is into their relationships, into their marriages, and what it really means that you're not just marrying a single person, but you're really marrying into a family, it really gives you a taste of the culture. And culture is so important when we're doing our business. If we're making strategies outside of the culture, outside of understanding what's going on and how they work and how they tick, then we really are not creating solutions for them, but we're creating solutions for ourselves. And I can tell you many times that I knew the best solution way before the client had even asked, simply because I had done it so many times. I knew it would work. But without understanding the culture and trying to put that solution in, doesn't necessarily would work. So the question is, well, how do you learn a culture? If you're going into a new country, or not even just a new country, if you're just going into a different area, a different group of people, and especially we're talking United States with such a diversity, and so if you're just going into an African American community versus a Latina community versus a Cuban community, or versus, just your average white community, there's going to be a lot of different culture differences. And so how does that all play when you're actually doing business? And understanding that culture, you want to make sure that your solutions are answering the problem that they were actually asking, not the problem that you felt that needed to be solved. And so the first thing I want to say is just listen. If you want to learn someone else's culture so you can provide culture-centered strategies that will last, listen to what they talk about, listen to what's important, listen how they interact with people, how they may already give a little bit more respect to certain professions or certain people of different age groups or different sexes or genders. So just look at things like that. So just totally listen to what's important to them. Listen to how perhaps maybe how they address some people with titles and other people without titles. That's a great way to learn culture. One of the ones I think is so fascinating of learning cultures is you gotta interact with the people. So you cannot stay on the outside. And a great way to interact is in their place of worship. If you're entering a place of worship, you really get an idea of their culture, if their exuberance of their culture, or the basically the calmness or the temperament of their culture. That's a great way. And then what about their special events? As you go to their different events, their birthday parties, their burial services, their anniversaries, another great way. So I just think about my own mom who turned 80, and it was just a very, very quiet situation when she turned 80. We kind of bought a cake, we sat down, my siblings and I, we said happy birthday. But I look at the Nigerian culture and I see that this is a major event with halls rented, clothes purchased, several cakes, bands, several caterers. So if you understand that, you get to see how they appreciate their elderly. You get to see how they honor it, and you get to see that this is a place that loves to celebrate. And so when I tell you about culture, Birthday parties and weddings and burial services are great ways for you to learn the kind of culture, and then learn how to eat their food. Learn to see what they're eating and you try it out. Now, I'm not saying you're going to love everything that they have, but why don't you just go ahead and taste it? Why don't you just kind of have a serving with them? Figure out, how do they eat? Do they eat community eating, where everything is placed in the center like in Ethiopia, and then everyone is eating with their hands? And that's a great way for you to understand, wow, this is a very community-oriented culture. And so these are just some very simple ways that you can begin to learn culture, but you got to interact. So where I see a lot of times we fail is that we don't interact. We think we have the preferred solution. And so what's the benefit of finding out about their culture and working with them? Is because you're able to create sustainable solutions. You're able to create solutions that they can actually implement. If the solution you gave them is way too difficult or it doesn't really make sense, then they're not going to implement. So you've done a great job. You've created strategy. You've gotten it approved. Everyone loves it. You have your kickoff meeting, and that's it. You will kick off, and once you go back to your station, they're going to go back to their old ways. And so how do you prevent that? By having sustainable solutions, by co-creating with them the solution, and by acknowledging any areas of their culture that needs to be acknowledged while you're creating it. Understanding where they are in their education, understanding where they are in their technology. And these things will give you hints to how you can create a solution that is sustainable. I don't want you to spend months and months with people creating great decks and presentations that sound great, and even they would nod and say it's a good idea. And later on, it's just way too difficult to implement. So if you want to avoid that, what are you going to do? Co-create with them, acknowledge their culture, get to know it. I'm Seba Wadaki, I'm the Global Girl. We're bringing you cultural solutions. And if you'd like to hear more, why don't you go ahead and go to our YouTube channel at She Works Now, or why don't you just go ahead and join us in our Facebook group, Gals Going Global. And you have an amazing day.